The 15 Most Enigmatic People in History, Part 1.
If you are brand new to our channel, we invite you to take a moment to subscribe. Just click on the lit red button as well as the gray bell. Why the bell? Well, it will let you know every time we post a new video.
1. Rasputin. Perhaps no other figure in history can stack up against the living, breathing enigma that was Grigori Rasputin in terms of rumors, legends, complexity, and mystique. His background is so profound and cryptic that even IT professional historians have difficulty making heads or tails of credible accounts. Born in January of 1869, Rasputin grew up in a family of peasants in Siberia, where he eventually became a religious wanderer and healer, after claiming of a deity giving him visions. In a controversial and bizarre turn of events, he was called upon by the imperial family to cure their dying son of hemophilia, in which he succeeded. From that point onwards he gained immediate power and access to the family. The most noteworthy aspect of Rasputin was the numerous failed attempts on his life. Seen as a symbol of corruption and evil, conspirators had him stabbed by a woman, disguised as a beggar, almost disemboweling him. After surviving the assault, he was later invited to a dinner at a politician's mansion, and was poisoned via cyanide in his drink, which also failed. Frustrated, one of the assassins drew their pistol and shot Rasputin once, in which he tried to escape, making it to the courtyard outside before being shot twice. Presuming him dead, the assassins then wrapped him in sheets and dumped his body into an icy river. However, it was later discovered upon finding the body that Rasputin had died of hypothermia, not bullets, and had managed to partially claw his way out of the wrappings before dying. 2. The Grinning Man. Usually, paranormal events are hard to take seriously, and a good number of them get debunked almost immediately. This incident, however, seems to have a certain credibility to it. Beginning in New Jersey in the year 1966, two boys were walking along a road at night towards a turnpike, when one of them noticed a figure behind a fence, a towering man wearing a green suit that shimmered in the streetlight, having a wide grin and beady eyes that followed them until they were out of his eyesight. When interviewed separately, their stories still matched up. Not long after, there were multiple sightings of the man around West Virginia that matched the same description, including an encounter that Woodrow Derenberger had with the figure. Naming himself Indrid Cold, the Grinning Man asked Derenberger about UFO sightings in the area, and was reportedly fascinated with the paranormal. Fittingly enough, the Grinning Man was usually spotted around areas where paranormal events and the infamous Mothman sightings would later occur. This all came to an end when the Silver Bridge collapsed in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, where he was never seen again. 3. The Isdal Woman. In Bergen, Norway in 1970, a naked woman was found dead along a hiking trail, surrounded by a collection of oddities. About a dozen sleeping pills were found, as well as a lunch bag, an empty liquor bottle, and 2 plastic bottles that reeked of gasoline. When an autopsy was performed, it was revealed that she had succumbed to severe burns and carbon monoxide poisoning, in addition to consuming over 50 sleeping pills and potentially receiving a blow to the neck. If that wasn't enough, her fingerprints had been sliced off, and when the police found her luggage in a nearby train station, all her clothes had the labels removed. Digging deeper into the investigation revealed that the deceased had a total of 9 pseudonyms attributed to her, a number of various wigs, a collection of suspicious diaries, and spoke 4 different languages. Her sketchy background did little to advance the case forward until a witness came forward stating that 5 days before the body was found, he spotted a woman on the trail who wore fancy clothes and seemed to have an aura of terror hanging over her, with 2 men in black coats trailing her to the same area where the crime scene originated. While telling his side of the story, a policeman reportedly told the witness to forget her. She was dispatched. The case will never be solved. How very optimistic. 4. Tank Man. One of the most recognizable and iconic anti-war photographs ever taken, this snapshot of a protester facing down a column of tanks in Tiananmen Square also contains a mystery. The identity of the famed protester, aka the Tank Man, has never been realized. During the government suppression of the Tiananmen protests, as the aforementioned tank squad barreled down a city street, a man ran out to the middle of the street, blocking their advance. Trying in vain to drive around the protester, the tank commander shut off the engines. This prompted the man to climb aboard the tank and speak through the vents, with a crew member climbing out to face him. After a while, the protester climbed off and continued the standoff against the tanks until two figures in blue carried him away. People still have no idea what happened to the man, suggesting that he was killed by the government or just went into hiding. 5. The Zodiac Killer. Another serial killer that fled into the shadows. The Zodiac was practically the American Jack the Ripper, albeit bearing at least a hint of subtlety when it comes to murder, but being just as incompetent with grammar in his letter. Beginning his spree in December 1968 in California, he shot and killed 2 teenagers on the side of the road and attacked 5 more people the next year, with only 2 surviving. One victim described the attacker wearing an executioner's hood with a white crosshair on the forehead and brandishing a pistol. As with Jack the Ripper, the Zodiac also sent letters to the press. The difference this time was that the killer had created ciphers and cryptograms along with mad ramblings and threats, and ended each letter with the now iconic crosshair symbol. During this time, many people came forward saying that they were the Zodiac, but all were dismissed. The only prime suspect was a man named Arthur Lee Allen based on circumstantial evidence, but it was never proven due to the man conveniently dying of natural causes weeks before standing trial. The Zodiac has never been identified. 6. Agent 355. One of the first spies in the history of the United States, and a female one at that. The anonymity of Agent 355 has not been pulled back ever since her inception during the American Revolution. Working for George Washington in the Culper Ring, or a spy organization, this woman was integral in providing vital information about the British Army and their tactics, including diversion and ambush plans that would have otherwise crippled Washington. She was even responsible for revealing Benedict Arnold as a traitor. Supposedly, after exposing Arnold, she was arrested in 1780 and sent aboard a prison ship, where she gave birth to a boy who was named Robert Townsend Jr. and eventually died later on. However, historians have shrugged off this synopsis, claiming that females were not placed in prison ships and that there was no evidence of childbirth. Others have also thrown around the idea that Agent 355 does not refer to a single woman, rather any woman that provides useful information. If only that effect was used to identify the agent, we would more than likely add another hero to the pages of history. 7. Jack the Ripper. Arguably the most notorious and mystifying serial killer in history, the Whitechapel murderer gained traction in the media in England for the butchering of 5 prostitutes in the city of London, year 1888, though many speculate there were as many as 11 victims. Aside from being prostitutes, their grisly demise was the main trait that the victims shared. All of their throats were slit, one even had been cut to the spine. They had at least one organ removed from their body. Their faces and body parts mutilated almost beyond recognition. Most suspiciously of all, the women were not killed by a common or amateur murderer. The person who committed these crimes knew what they were doing. The incisions and removal of vital organs were seemingly done by someone who knew the human anatomy very well, leading many to come to the idea that the killer was a doctor or physician. The standout in all of this madness were the hundreds of letters sent to the police, mocking them for their incompetence, and infamously beginning one letter with the signature, "From Hell." Countless suspects, conspiracy theories, and manhunts have failed to reveal the phantom called Jack the Ripper. 8. The Man in the Iron Mask. Unlike the 1998 film bearing the same name, the actual masked man did not have one, instead bearing the number 64,389,000 as indicated in the prison records. In 1669, the minister of Louis XIV sent a letter to the governor of a prison in the city of Pignarol, France, saying that a prisoner would soon arrive at the complex. The minister ordered the governor to create a cell with multiple doors to prevent eavesdropping, to provide the man with any immediate needs, and finally, should the prisoner ever speak of anything else, to kill him without hesitation. The prison that the masked man was sent to was noteworthy for housing the black sheep of noble families and government alike. The most peculiar thing about the masked man was the treatment that he received. His cell was reportedly well furnished, unlike the others, and he had 2 soldiers stationed at the cell door, who were ordered to kill the prisoner if he took his iron mask off. This imprisonment continued for the rest of the man's life until his death in 1703. His belongings followed suit, with his furniture and clothing being destroyed, the walls of his cell scraped and washed, and having his iron mask melted down. This amalgamation of events has led many historians debating on the identity of the prisoner, suggesting that he was a relative of Louis XIV, thrown into obscurity for reasons that create even more questions than answers. That's probably all we'll ever get from the Man in the Iron Mask.